everyone, welcome to another Animation Friday. I apologize this video has to be delayed. Unfortunately, I was pretty busy over this week and did not have time to upload videos, but I should be caught up by the end of today. So without further ado, let me address what I want to talk about for this particular Animation Friday, and that's the new Mickey Mouse shorts. Yes, apparently recently Disney decided to sort of do something that's, I guess you would consider to be a little bit more old school, in that they are doing Mickey Mouse shorts again, but I don't know if they're exactly aired on television. I know that there's a YouTube channel that's sort of dedicated to them, and they sort of upload shorts there, but they resemble a lot of the shorts that came out within sort of the 50s, 40s, 30s, and 20s, in that they're not necessarily that lengthy, and they also again focus on Mickey and the gang primarily. Um, and the interesting thing is what they take out of the old kinds of cartoons that were out there and how they sort of translate them to sort of today's audience. Um, and there's a lot I think that's primarily likable about this sort of approach that they have taken as far as with these shorts. Um, and what I think works really well is that they try to give sort of a very fun and sort of interesting story behind a lot of the shorts. And it's a fairly unique story at that. They'll have something that happens to Mickey or Donald or whoever, and then there's some sort of conflict and then a resolution. And it usually has that sort of similar kind of old school comedic effect with the slapstick. There's also a lot of references to various other Disney films, which I think technically Disney does like to do, at least uh, for a lot of their material. And uh, the great thing though too is that, and what I particularly enjoy about these shorts is that they don't change the essence of the characters. Donald is still Donald, Goofy's still Goofy, Mickey's still Mickey. They don't try to mess with that. They don't try to, um, you know, sugarcoat it or make it very, kind of preschool. It's not like the CGI'd Mickey nowadays. It's very just where it's kind of just designed to kind of really be on that very limited level, as far as entertainment is concerned, being for very little kids. But here, there's a wider appeal, I think, because you can sort of get the smart, more adult-like humor out of it, but at the same time, there's a lot of childish aspects to it that, again, can relate to kids primarily of all ages, I would say more so. Um, uh, Before teenagedom. uh, there is also something again, and also the fact too that the animation is really in 2D. It's not in 3D, so they don't try to go for that, which I think primarily works for, in particular, the characters, because I think they look a lot more well constructed when they're in the 2D format, as opposed into 3D where they kind of just look very kind of generic and computerized. And there's not a whole lot of detail to them or a lot of energy put into the way in which they kind of utilize their expressions and whatnot. So really the 2D does shine here, and what I think really works. And what also is rather unique, though, is the designing. The old design is very kind of classic Disney look. It really does seem to have that nice workings of the lines and whatnot. But here the animation is a little bit more modern in that it kind of tries to be a little bit more goofy and eccentric and not as grounded within the kind of cutesy imagery that we've come to know from Disney within the past. So I think that change actually works, and I think it primarily is designed to get the younger generation a little bit more invested into these kinds of shorts, because again, a lot of these kinds of shorts, despite them not being in 3D, still have a kind of very, there's a certain amount of energy within them that sort of makes them a little bit more modern and a little bit more updated as far as the way in which the characters are presented through the animation. And also, it's kind of got that flavor of poking fun at itself. Disney sort of laughing at the various things that were sort of part of their films within the past, which I think is actually good and shows a certain level of, not taking yourself too seriously that I think really does work for Disney, because at least they're kind of realizing the sort of fun that can be sort of had by, trying to reference your older films and trying to kind of play around with them. And also they comment maybe too also on fairly recent things as well. So again, it kind of plays into a lot of different areas, but I think it's a nice return to sort of the form, because we haven't seen a lot of these at least a lot of cartoons that have focused primarily on Mickey, Minnie, and all the others, since. Oh, and again, the other thing that we have is sort of the Clubhouse one with the 3D and, it kind of just being fairly generic. Here there's a lot of life, there's a lot of character and a lot of energy put into that. And I think that was really true with a lot of the older Disney cartoons, and I think it transfers over nicely here. Obviously, there's going to be some that do prefer more of the classic style, and I can understand that. But I think there's still a certain amount of transfer over that I think ultimately can work with a lot of people, in particular the ones who have watched the traditional classic cartoons of Mickey. So I think it is definitely a worthy recommendation of a sort of, I guess you could say, experiment that Disney has been doing for some time. It is enjoyable, I think, to watch overall. It's obviously there's some episodes that might be a little bit more stronger than other episodes. I can see that played out, especially if you decide to start watching these kinds of particular shorts. But I think overall it's good to see this kind of return to form and, just kind of trying to utilize things that ultimately made their cartoon shorts really stand out and really be enjoyable and engaging to watch. So yeah, I think though that's really ultimately all I can say about these particular Mickey Mouse shorts. I think they're worthy of a recommendation. I'll be sure to put a link to the channel of where you can go find these kinds of shorts. I think the channel is titled Mickey Shorts, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.